Starting from the cover slide, management of manufacturing. So if you go to the model 1, it basically contains the manufacturing. This is the model number 1, manufacturing system. Then the next one is type of and process mapping, manufacturing process planning, include definition, scope, elements. The next one is manufacturing concept line. The next one is layout, planning and analysis. The next one is your group technology, or that is also known as cellular manufacturing systems. Then the next one is in case of cellular manufacturing formation, or that is known as cell formation. And the last one is method and production flow analysis and minimization of inter-cell movements. So R. Paneerselvam's production and operation management.
Sir, sir,
The
sorry.
next one is K. Osothappa. The next is B. Madhavan. These are the books. Slide is not visible.
Sir, slide is
Hello?
not visible.
Slide
We
not
can't see the
visible.
slides since the beginning. Yes, sir.
Not visible.
The screen is
Sir,
blank.
it is not visible, sir.
We can only hear your.
Hello.
Sir, we can only hear your voice. Slide is not visible.
Hello, sir.
Slide not visible. Okay, I will share that one. Okay, just a minute. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Right now the PPT is visible.
No, PPT is not
sir.
visible. Screen is blank.
And is it visible? The PPT is visible.
No, sir. Screen is blank. Your PPT is not visible.
Hello.
No, sir. PPT is not visible.
अभी दिखाई दे रहा है?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Not visible yet.
Not visible.
Just a minute. Just a minute. अभी दिखाई दे रहा है? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It's
fine.
visible.
Okay, we are already late due to some technical error in case of my laptop. Okay. So let's start with the new topic, that is management of manufacturing systems. This is the content of module number 1, manufacturing system. The second one is type and process mapping. The third one is manufacturing process planning, definitions, scope and elements. The fourth one is manufacturing concept planning. The next one is requirement of good manufacturing and assembly lines. The next one is layout planning and analysis. And the next one is cellular manufacturing system, or that is known as group technology. And the next one is cellular manufacturing formation, or that is known as cell formation. And the last one is method and production flow analysis and minimization of inter-cell movement. So these are the next one is, these are the textbooks starting from Panir Salvan, R. Palin Salvan, that is production and operation management, K. Oshothapa, production and operation management, B. Mahadevan, operation theory and practice, then T. N. Rao, that is manufacturing technology 1 and volume 1 and volume 2, and next one is, last one is W. H. J. Chapman, that is workshop technology 1 and 2 under CBS publisher and distributors. So just start with the basics of manufacturing. So as you know, all of you have already gone through in case of operation management 1 and operation management 2. The manufacturing is derived from the Latin word that is manufactures, which means made by hand. But if you go to the traditional way of the traditional definition of manufacturing, that is the transformation of raw material into finishing product. Going to the next point, manufacturing is the making of good by hand or by machines upon completion that business sell to customers. So that is why every company nowadays focus on the constant or customized process to enhance more amount of potential customers. That is the basics concept behind manufacturing. The next one is that manufacturing is the transformation of material in goods or product. So as I told, in case of transformation of raw material into finishing product, that is known as manufacturing. Going to the next one. So then the next one is the basic comparison between the manufacturing and production. These are very much similar or vice versa word. If you go to the first definition of manufacturing, point number 1, in case of manufacturing meanings, the process of producing merchandise by using resources like labor, machines, tool, raw material, chemicals and other is known as manufacturing. But in case of production, it is the process of making something used for consumption by combining various resources. So that is why in case of manufacturing, that is conversion of raw material for merchandise by using different kind of resources. But in case of production, the process making something used for consumptions by combining various resources, or you can say that is the value added process, which is known as production. So if you go to the concept of manufacturing, the process in which raw material is used to generate output, but in case of production, a process of converting into inputs into outputs. But compulsory, next point is compulsory resources, that is men and machines. In case of production, only men is required. And the next one is the form of input, that is tangible. In case of production, that is tangible or intangibles. The next is form of output, that is goods only. But in case of production, that is good and services also. The next is in case of creation, goods that are suitable for use, and in case of production, that is the creation of utilities. So these are the basic differences in between manufacturing and production. Going to the next slide, the manufacturing system is a value-added process where direct or indirect value are associated to produce finished good or product. So if you see in this particular figure, what are the direct value? For example, in case of raw material, energy, machines, these are the direct value. What are the indirect value? For example, in case of indirect value, the allied department or allied assemble or components which is required in case of which is directly also which is indirectly involved in case of production, or you can say that is manufacturing system to produce the quality of good. These are known as indirect values. So whenever you combine the direct and indirect value to produce a manufacturing system, or you can say that is produce finished good or product. Going to the next point, next slide. The next one is the type of manufacturing process. So in case of manufacturing process, our primary process can be grouped under three basic categories. The first process is known as forming process. The next is machining process, and the third one is assemble process. So in case of machining process, basically the unwanted materials should be removed by the help of different type of process, which is known as turning, drilling, milling, grinding, shaping, and boring process. This particular thing should be done through the different specialized or customized tool. But nowadays, a very common tool is known as that is lathe machine is very much essential in case of machining process. Going to the next slide. So if you classify the manufacturing process, these are basically divided into two types. The first one is traditional machining process and another is non-traditional machining process. In case of traditional machining process, that is known as cutting process. In case of cutting, it is also divided into two types, that is circular shapes cutting process and various shape of cutting process. So in case of circular, by the help of lathe machine, you can proceed for the turning, boning, and drilling operation. In case of various shapes, in case of cutting process, that is known as milling process, planning process, shaping process, broaching process, sawing process, filling. The next one is gear forming, and the next last one is gear generating process. So these are under the category of traditional machining process. So basically, what happened in case of traditional machining process, unwanted materials should be removed to get the final shape of the desired materials or parent materials. That is known as traditional machining process. Apart from those things, if you directly go to the next part, that is known as non-traditional machining process. So in that particular process, there are various latest machining process should be introduced nowadays. The first one is chemical machining process. The next is electrochemical machining process. In case of electrochemical grinding process, the next one is electrical discharge machining process. The next is laser beam machining process, abrasive jet machining process, water jet machining process. The next one is plasma beam machining, and the last one is ultrasonic machining process. So these are the various machining process used for machining of complex and complicated shape and size of the desired or parent materials. So whenever you directly go to the next part, as you know, in case of your manufacturing process are primary process, and that can be grouped under three categories, that is the forming process, machining process, and assemble process. The first one is assemble process. So if you go to the definition, in case of assembly process, it basically involves joining of components, pieces of parts to produce a single component that has a specific function. Some of the common assembly process are welding, brazing, soldering, riveting, fastening with bolts, nuts, and joining by use of adhesives. Also, some cases. Here the typical example of your computer assembly process, where different types of sub-assemble or sub-components are combined to form a particular desktop, which generally includes your motherboard, then the hard disks, and all the components which combine to form a particular computer assemble, or you can say in the form of desktop. The next process is known as your forming process. So as you know, in case of forming process, which is including the casting process, the forging process, stamping, embossing, spinning, etc., these process can change the shape of work piece without necessarily removing or adding materials. In that case, if you directly go to the forming process of, this is the typical example of forming process of sheet metals. So in case of sheet metal, there is no need of removing unwanted material. You just use the help of punch. You can get the desired shape and size. So in that case, as you see in the particular figure, before forming and after forming, the figure shows that by the help of punch, which provide a particular pressure on the rubber pad, and after that you can form the U shape. So these are the different processes. The next part is that in case of forming process, it basically includes castings, embossing and coining, extraction. The next one is forging, stamping, and finishing. So we just go one by one. So in case of castings is a very traditional process. Here the example of making art and craft, then statue, different type of statue. Even if the larger shape and size of automotive engines should be done by this particular process, where the molten metal is directly poured inside the sand mold. So after solidify, you can get the desired shape. So in that case, if you see in the figure left side, the molten metal in the brown color, that should be poured by the help of ladles, and that directly poured inside the mold. The mold contain the initial replicate or duplicate of that particular shape and size. After pouring, it should be, the liquid should be sprayed each and every corner according to the desired shape and size, and finally the solidification, or after cooling you can get the desired product. So this is the typical application in our day-to-day life. In case of your machines bed, particularly the fan stand, in case of motor casing, in case of automotive tires, automotive wheels, that can be manufactured by the use of casting process. The next process is your embossing and coining process. It is very similar to embossing, and the coining and embossing process are very much similar. In that particular process, with the help of different or difference, the similar or different impression are obtained on both sides on the sheet metal. The basic example in case of metal coins, in case of your currency coin, it is a cold working sizing operation. It is used to production of metal coins. So in the figure below, you see that the coining process, a particular metal is placed in the U shape. After pressing or after apply some pressure on the coin itself provide an impression in the both side according to the shape and size of the die. So this is known as coining process. The next one is that extrusion process. In case of extrusion process, it is basically used in case of cable industries, especially in case of electrical cables, or in case of your pipe industries or plumbing industries, where this particular process is used. As you see in the particular figure, there is a raw material hopper is there, and that hopper is heated by electric power, and the molten or semi-fluid material is screwed in case of your heater bands, and that extrude from a particular shape and size, that is known as sizing plate. And after that sizing plate, that is a pull rollers are there, and finally it should be directly wind off or cut off the machines. Then by the help of extrusion process, under this particular figure, you see the examples, that is cables are there, your PVC pipes are there. Even if your pen refills and pen casing should be done through the extrusion process. The next process is known as forging process. In case of forging process, it is nothing but the simple hammering process, but the thing is that it is divided into two types. That is hot forging process and cold forging process. In case of hot forging, you simply hammering by the help of metal hammer to change the shape and size of the parent materials. In case of hot forgings, we can directly go to the directly preheat the particular samples and and hammering action should be done according to the shape and size. So you can see the basic application in case of spikes, in case of different type of tools, in case of different type of automotive components should be made by the help of forging process. In the left corner, you see the open and closed die forging process is there. So in case of open die forgings, the parent material in case of that dark green color, that should be pressed under the die and it can change the shape and size of parent materials. But in case of closed die, the same pressure should be applied, but the thing is that it is slightly, the pressure should be applied slowly on, you can say that it is slowly on the parent material that can be form the desired shape and size. The next part is that your stamping process. So in case of stamping process, it is also known as piercing process or piercing punching process. As you see in the particular figure left side, a particular punch plate should be set up, should be done, and the parent materials in the form of strips should be placed under the punch plate. So whenever you apply pressure, it can be form the desired shape and size. So in the right corner, in the right top corner, you see there are different kind of application which is directly used in case of automotive sector, in case of electric sector, in case of making complicated strips, and even if the tube, even if different kind of valve which is generally used in case of plumbing, that should be done through the stamping process. The next one is your spinning process. It is nothing but simple. The particular pressure is applied. As you see in the top figure, the parent material should be attached with the machines by the help of roller stock. It can be changed the shape and size of the particular parent materials. So in the figure below, you see the particular person is applied force by the help of stocker roll, and basically the utensile in case of aluminum, copper, brass should be made through this particular spinning process. The next one is known as your machining process. This is the third basic manufacturing process. In that case, the process are including turning process, the drilling and boring process, and then milling process, grinding process, and the last one is shaping and planning process. So all this particular machining is done through the lathe machines. So I will show that particular lathe machines. So here the typical or schematic view of your lathe machines, which is generally used for milling, drilling, boring, even if grinding process and shaping and planning process. But nowadays more upgraded machines are used in case of milling operation, in case of grinding operation, in case of shaping and planning operations. So under that schematic view, the first left corner figure shows that turning operations. That means what? The workpiece should be attached with the spindles, and that spindle should be rotated by the help of motors. And the tool should be attached with the compound rest, and according to the desired shape and side, it should be moved forward and backward movement. Similarly, in case of the left side figure shows that the facing operation, or that is known as one type of shaping operations. In that one, the compound rest contains the tools which is proceed for the shaping or facing operations, and the bottom figure shows that is the typical your drilling operations. The parent material should be attached with the spindles, and by the help of drills, the drill should be moved forward and backward direction according to the desired shape and size of that particular parent materials. The next is in case of machining process, the machining consists force cutting tools with one or more edges through the excess material or workpiece, and removing the excess material in the form of chips. So by the help of, whenever you think about the machining process, the machining process is simply defined as the removing of unwanted material from the parent material to make the workpiece according to the requirement. So these are the different processes. We have already discussed the facing. Then the next one is taper turning, the form turning, then champering process, then threading process, the boring, and the last one is drilling and nulling process. Going to the next slide. In case of this is the last manufacturing process. In case of assembly process, we generally include welding process, brazing, soldering, riveting, then fastening by bolt and nuts, assembly using adhesives. So we just proceed one by one. So in case of welding process, if you go to the definition of weldings, the joining of metal pieces similar or dissimilar by the help of electric power to join the materials. In that case, whenever you see the first figure, in that case, a particular person is employed for welding operations. The welding operation is done by the welding electrodes, and that electrodes act as a filling materials in between the parent material, in between two number of parent materials. The next process is your the rightmost top corner, that is the brazing process. The here same thing happen, but the thing is that you have to just heat the parent material according to your joining process. A particular filler material is used for joining the different type of materials. And the in the bottom there are soldering process is there. It is done through the electric heaters, and the soldering should be done by the filler materials is by the help of filler materials, and the filler material get filled the joint in between two similar materials. And the last the bottom corner, that is the process of riveting. The riveting means you can see the best example in case of railway bridges, in case of iron bridges. The best example is your Howrah bridge. In that case, the whole bridge is joined through the riveting. Riveting process is very much, you can say that is very much accurate. There is no particular you can say that is more precise manner to join the different type of different or similar materials. So initially, in case of riveting, the rivet should be heated, and that should be pressed from both ends to join the parent material. That is the concept. The next part is that if you go to the nut and bolt fastening, basically the nut and bolt should be used, but before joining by the help of nut and bolt, a particular hole should be done through the drilling operation. After the drilling, you have to just put the nut and bolt and tightening the parent material. By the help of nut and bolt, you can join similar and as well dissimilar materials. And the last one is your fastening, or you can say that is assembly by using adhesives. So in case of fastening or assembly through the adhesive materials, it is vastly used in case of automotive companies for more amount of assembly works. Going to the next one, the other type of manufacturing process, as you know, in the first one is make to stock. In case of this particular definition, the factory produce good to stock stores and showrooms by predicting the market for their goods. The manufacturing will plan production activities in advance. The next one is make to order. The producer wait for the order before manufacturing stock. Inventory is easier to control, and the owner does not need to rely as much as on market demand. In case of make to order concept, the customer waiting time is longer. The manufacturer need a constant stream of order to keep the factory in productions. And the last one is make to assemble. In case of factory produce component part in anticipation of order for assembly. By doing this, the manufacturer is ready to fulfill the customer order. But if the order does not materialize, the producer will have a stock of unwanted parts. So it is these are the different, or you can say the other type of manufacturing process. The next topic is your process making. So what is the need of process making? As you know, the every kind of manufacturing process, in that particular process, there are number of activities. To improve the quality of product, you need to be need to be go for the process mapping. So if you go to the definition, it is the activities or set of activities which convert input into output to meet every customer requirement. So if you go to the simple process chart, input are directly inserted into the activities and activities provide the output. That is the concept behind process making. Going to the next slide. For example, you are making a cup of coffee in home. So what are the main input? From the left corner, that is the cup, spoon, milk, sugar, water, kettle, and power. That is in the form of gas or electricity. And what are the key activities? Fill the kettle, heat the water, get a cup, put a coffee into the cup, put a milk into the cup, put a sugar into the cup, fill the cup with hot water. And what is the output? A cup of coffee. So this is known as process making. The process making basically contains input, activities, and outputs. Similarly, go to the next slide. The following method are the most common technique used to break down the defined process. These are process flow chart, process definition chart, and the third one is process maps. So we will discuss one by one. Going to the first one, the process flow chart. A process flow chart is used to show the sequence of activities within the process. A process chart converting the activities which is showing in below examples. The example of process flow chart for making a cup of tea. I'll show that particular process. So this is the process flow chart for making a cup of coffee. First, if you go to the first one, cup of coffee needed by the customer, by the number of consumers. In that case, check the water level in case of kettles, fill the kettles, boil the water, put the ingredients into cup, add boiling water to cup, stir the mixture, and finally you can get the cup of coffee. So this is the typical example for example of process flow chart for making a cup of coffee. Similarly, this if you take the example of processing of pasteurized milk, that means what? Same pattern in that case. For example, collection of raw milk, then from farmers, then the mode of transportations, then mode of transportation to the processing plant, then processing plant to the packaging plant, and packaging plant to the outbound logistics, and outbound logistics to the number of outlet. So these are the different example in case of process flow chart. In that case, the next one is that process definition chart. So in case of process definition chart, it simply contains the input, the controls, output, resources, and activities. So for making making a cup of coffee, what are the different resources is required? The different resources is required. That is, the first one is your, I'll show that one. So what are the different resources? The resources is your kettles, then cup, then gas or electricity, milk, sugar. These are known as the different type of resources. So as you directly go to the control, that means what? You have to check different level of the water level in case of kettles, then arrangement of number of cups, then pouring exact amount of sugar and milk. These are the different things which should be controlled. And what are the activities? That means what? Collection of milk, sugar, then pouring, then stirring, then again pouring the final coffee in the cup. And what are the output? A cup of coffee is the output. So this is the small or simple definition. You can say that is the process definition chart. The next one is that process map. The next one is the process definition chart. This chart shows the activities such as input, output, control, and sequence, as I already discussed in the previous slide. So if you go to the activities are the function or tasks that make of a named process that occur over time and have recognizable result. Inputs are the things that transform or used up by the process to create the output. Input includes materials, and the next one is the output. Output are the result activities transforming inputs. This should be normally be designed to meet the customer requirement. And the next one is the controls. The control defines, regulate, influence the process, but are not transformed by it. Internal control include procedure, budget, budget a time scale. External control include legislation, standard, and other professional guidelines, or the availability of resources. And finally, the last one is
Sir,
resource. Yes, yes.
हेलो सर, आई हैव अ डाउट. रिसोर्सेज में मतलब वो जो प्रोसेस डेफिनेशन चार्ट है, वो डायग्राम आपने दिखाया, उसमें लिखा था कि
Your
इनपुट
voice
में
is
मिल्क
not
है.
clear. Hello.
हेलो,
Yes, yes.
जो आपने डायग्राम दिखाया था उस चार्ट में इनपुट में मिल्क लिखा था. मिल्क रिसोर्सेज में जाएगा या इनपुट में जाएगा, क्योंकि दोनों तो अलग अलग है.
No. Can you just repeat the question?
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है, मिल्क लिखा था उसमें, इनपुट में मिल्क लिखा था, वो टेबल इनपुट एक्टिविटीज और आउटपुट वाला जो टेबल था उसमें, जबकि मिल्क रिसोर्सेज में जाना चाहिए ना, इनपुट में तो नहीं जाना चाहिए.
Okay, you can. Your question is in case of this one, na? I will show that one. This one.
यस सर.
Okay.
मिल्क जो है, मिल्क हो गया या शुगर हो गया, ये इनपुट में तो नहीं जाना चाहिए, रिसोर्सेज में जाना चाहिए ना, क्योंकि ये पूरा कन्वर्ट हो जाता है आउटपुट निकालने के लिए.
हाँ.
तो ये
So
इनपुट
your
में
question
क्यों
is
है?
in case of resources convert. Hello.
हाँ.
In case, this one.
हाँ.
Okay. So your question is in your previous slide that inputs are contains the milk, sugar, all the things. In case of resources, so without resources you cannot convert the input into output.
हाँ. यस सर.
Yes or no?
यस सर.
That's why I told that in case of resources, without the you can say the gas stove or without the kettle, you cannot be convert the input into output.
Yes, sir, but resources is different from input, right? So we cannot just put milk, sugar into inputs, because input does not show milk. Hello?
Hello.
Input milk does not come under input.
Your voice is breaking, Rekha.
Sir, I will
Okay,
just...
I just complete the slide, then we will discuss this particular things. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. In case of resources are used to produce the output, but the differ from input as they are not transformed or used to during the process. Resource will include the equipments on peoples. I think you got your answer. Hello.
Yes, so partially I'm not fully getting it.
Okay, I will explain those things. Just a few slides more. The next one is the process map. The process map combines the process flow chart, the process definition chart, and gives a picture of how people organize and perform their work. The next point is that it help them understand and clarify the sequence of activities within a process and identify the inputs, output, control, and resources associated with the process all on one diagram. So I will show the process map. So this is the process map, which includes inputs, output, resources, and controls. So if you go to the first one, the check water level in kettles, fill the kettles, boil waters, put ingredients in cup, add boiling water to cup, stir the mixture, and finally get a cup of coffee. From the resources point of view, a person to make a coffee, kettle, cup, spoon, these are known as resources. From control point of view, this is water supply, power supply, customer requirement, housekeeping budgets, that's all. And in case of inputs, that is for a cup of coffee, you need water, coffee, milk, and sugars. So this is the whole schematic of a process map for making one cup of coffee. The next one is that process making in work environment. In case of manufacturing company, for example, we have process to make sure, which includes supply of product and material are available. A particular workforce is available. Product are reached, researched and designed. The next one is product are market and sold. The next one is product are manufactured. Finished product are packaged and distributed. And the last one is income is collected through the supplier. These are the different process mapping in different work environment or different companies. The next one is how to process map. For the initiation of process map, that to be understood by top management regarding an overview of key activities involved in the process. So that is why more number of company, in case of more companies, the management must understand the process and overview the key activities involved in case of process for final product. So these are normally contains three different level, which is given below. On the next slide, the first one is design brochure, the second one is produce brochure, and the last one is mail shot to the customers. So these are the different example of level 1 flow chart. This is also known as level 1 flow chart. Going to the next one. So this is known as level 2 flow chart, design brochure, stage of process. So in case of level 1, that is design brochure, produce brochure, mail shot to the customer. In the level 2, agree brochure specification. The next to the write text for the brochure. The next one is produce artwork for the brochure. And finally, it should be reach up to the produce draft brochure, test on some customer, then complete brochure designs. The next one is your process atlas. So in case of this particular process brochure, the process atlas play a vital role. All organization has a key process that make of its process atlas. While organization vary widely in case of size, culture, they are nearly all have to similar and top level process. Even though the individual activities in each process may differ from one organization to other. So these can be split into group as in the following example. I will show that particular example. So here is the process atlas. So in case of process atlas, it contains three different processes. The first one is management process. Then second one is core and customer facing process. The third one is support process. So in case of management process, which basically include strategic directions, business planning and performance, measurement and review. In case of customer facing processes, new product development, marketing, sales, customer service, innovation, product or services, delivery and manufacturing. In case of support process, that is procurement or purchase, asset management, people management through HR, system management, communication, financial management, and the last one is administration. Going to the next one. So in case of process atlas, these process cover most, if not all, of what organization do, and the detailed process map describe how they go about it. So in case of management process, that basically provide direction as well as the resources. The next one is the core process, which include the customer needs and satisfy customers. But the thing is that core process need support process in the form of different that is known as financial support, asset support, manpower support, technical support, communication support. And in case of providing support to the core process, it will provide a better performance toward management process. Going to the next one, so here the typical cement manufacturing process, and it is the schematic view of process diagram in case of cement manufacturing. Initially, if you see in the particular figure, the raw mill, which includes the limestone, iron dust, these are directly collected inside the raw mill. By the help of precipitator, that is known as electrostatic precipitator, which generally separate the metal parts from the uh, different component of cement. Then it directly fed to the raw mill silo, who does separate the unwanted materials, and the suspended preheater is directly fed the rotary kiln. The function of rotary kiln is heat the particular mixture in a particular temperature, and again it is directly sent to the clinker silo, where it should be refined. The raw material should be refined, and by the help of by adding gypsum, the gypsum is used for binding material in case of cement industries. It should be reached up to the cement mill, and from cement mill to the cement silo, where the bulk or you can say large volume of cement should be collected, and that should be directly distributed through the cement tanker, and as well as it is also directed towards the packaging house. So this is the typical process making, or you can say that it's a manufacturing process flow diagram of cement industries. So that's all for today. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Hello. Yes, Rekha, you can ask.
Yes, sir, I posted the question in the message. You can see it clearly.
उसी में डाउट है?
Sir, I have posted the question in the message section. You can check it there.
Second one.
Sir, check the message. Check the message.
Okay. No. Milk is not a resources. Hello. To ask the milk resources used to produce the output. Input is different from the resources. Yes. Input is different from resources. It is written in your slides. So I just want to ask, why have you put milk in the input column? Okay.
सर वो स्लाइड खोलिए तो
टॉप में तो जो
सर मेरे को नहीं पता वो कौन सा स्लाइड था, कौन से नंबर का.
दिस वन
हाँ.
इसमें मिल्क रिसोर्स है, इनपुट और रिसोर्स तो अलग होता है ना.
हाँ वो सॉरी इसे मिस्टेक से चला गया.
इवन खाली मिल्क नहीं, शुगर भी तो उसमें जाएगा, वाटर भी जाएगा, ये सब रिसोर्स
हाँ
इनपुट में.
यू आर करेक्ट.
पर कप नहीं जाएगा, कप इनपुट में जाएगा. तो आपको डेफिनेशन
okay, that should be clarified here, huh? In this particular picture, as you see in that particular for resources, that person should be required kettle, a cup, spoon, and cup, spoon, and spoon is required. In case of input water, here also mistakenly. Okay. Okay. I agree. You are correct. Okay. Any other
अरे
questions?
तू रेखा बोल क्या रही है?
अरे रिसोर्स और इनपुट दोनों अलग अलग होता है. सर ने उस टेबल में मिल्क, वाटर, शुगर ये सब इनपुट में डाला था, इसलिए मैंने पूछा कि इनपुट में कैसे आ सकता है, ये रिसोर्स में
Okay, see, asks in case of milk
तो फिर
is
इनपुट में क्या आएगा?
used as a resources. Okay.
सर वो स्लाइड थोड़ा निकाल लीजिए, इनपुट, एक्टिविटी और आउटपुट का डेफिनेशन जिसमें लिखा था, वो स्लाइड देख समझ में आ जाएगा.
This one. यहाँ पे भी गलत है। ओके
नहीं गलत नहीं सर, वो डेफिनेशन वाला स्लाइड थोड़ा दिखा दीजिए, वो इनपुट आउटपुट और एक्टिविटीज का जो डेफिनेशन लिखा
ओके
था
ओके
इसके प्रीवियस में, उसमें देख, उसमें समझ जाएगा मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ, ठीक है।
ओके, दिस वन।
नहीं इसके बाद में था शायद वो डेफिनेशन, ये तो टेबल हो गया, इसके बाद जो
ओके
डेफिनेशन था।
ओके, एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस?
अरे सर दिखाइए थोड़ा।
शेयरिंग तो किया हूँ।
नहीं ये वाला नहीं, वो
सर इसके
डेफिनेशन
डेफिनेशन वाला सर।
इट इज नॉट विजिबल।
दिख रहा है
हेलो?
क्या
नो
किसी
सर,
को? मुझे नहीं दिख रहा। नो सर,
नॉट विजिबल सर, नॉट विजिबल।
अच्छा सुन, मैं बोल देती हूँ, इनपुट में उसने लिखा था कि ऐसा कोई भी चीज नहीं आएगा जो कन्वर्ट हो सकता है, मतलब रॉ मटेरियल जो कि तुम कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो वो इनपुट में नहीं आएगा, वो रिसोर्सेस में आएगा। इनपुट में जो कन्वर्ट नहीं होता है, जो एज अ मीडियम यूज होता है, जैसे कि पीपल हो गया या फिर कोई मशीन हो गया, वो इनपुट में आएगा। उसमें लिखा था इनपुट और रिसोर्सेस का डिफरेंस, वो डेफिनेशन में लिखा था, इसीलिए मैं
ओके, यू
वहीं
कैन
पढ़।
सी दिस वन। अभी दिखा दिया?
नहीं
इज इट
सर,
विजिबल?
पीपीटी नहीं दिख रहा। हाँ हाँ, अभी दिखा, अभी दिखा।
ओके ओके,
हाँ उसके ऊपर वाला
नहीं
स्लाइड
नहीं नहीं,
सर, ये जो ऑन है उसके ऊपर वाला स्लाइड।
ओके, आई विल शेयर दैट पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड है। हेलो?
तू कह रही इनपुट है जो,
ऑन कर दीजिए तो समझ
Which one?
जाए। एक स्लाइड नंबर थोड़ा ऊपर जाइए, मैं बता देती हूँ, थोड़ा ऊपर जाइए। हाँ बस बस यही रुकिए, 42 वो बहुत ऊपर चले गए, इतना ऊपर नहीं।
दिस वन ना? हेलो?
नहीं स्लाइड नंबर 42 सर, स्लाइड नंबर 42 निकालिए।
स्लाइड नंबर
42
42। ओके, दिस वन।
सर सर 42
तो मैंने
ऊपर है
गलत
क्या
लिखा।
उसके?
अरे वो जो टेबल था उसी के आसपास था। हाँ हाँ हाँ, बस बस यही रुकिए, बहुत ऊपर जा रहे हैं सर। सर वो टेबल निकाले इनपुट आउटपुट वाला, उसके ऊपर ही है जस्ट।
विच वन? प्रोसेस मैपिंग?
हाँ हाँ हाँ, 29
दिस वन?
27 उसके ऊपर वाला स्लाइड का ऊपर, मतलब 27 निकालिए।
दिस वन?
उसके ऊपर
अदर
एक
नहीं नहीं, उसके
slide
ऊपर तो अदर नहीं अदर टाइप्स ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग है
अरे
उसके ऊपर।
एक स्लाइड था ना जिसमें इनपुट क्या है, एक्टिविटीज क्या है, आउटपुट क्या है, आप डिफाइन किए थे ना सर, वो वाला स्लाइड निकालिए। हाँ उसके ऊपर ही है शायद, प्रोसेस मैपिंग के प्रीवियस स्लाइड। हाँ हाँ, उसका ऊपर वाला आई गेस।
यही तो।
ये नीचे हो गया, उसका ऊपर
सर ऊपर सर 27
स्लाइड नंबर 27 निकालिए। हाँ हाँ, नहीं नहीं नहीं, ये भी नहीं है, कहाँ गया वो डेफिनेशन?
सर और ऊपर कीजिए तो।
नहीं ऊपर नहीं होगा, नीचे होगा, उस टेबल के बाद था शायद।
हाँ
तो फिर सर नीचे कीजिए।
नीचे
सर
नीचे
धीरे धीरे रुक जाइए
रिसोर्सेज वाला स्लाइड तो।
हाँ हाँ, जिसमें डेफिनेशन लिखा था ना, इनपुट का डेफिनेशन था, आउटपुट का था, और इसका था एक्टिविटीज का डेफिनेशन था।
दिस वन ना?
हाँ बस बस,
हाँ
यही वाला।
ये होगा।
इसमें देख, रिसोर्सेज में देख क्या लिखा है, रिसोर्सेज आर
This
यूज्ड
one,
टू
the
प्रोड्यूस
resources are
आउटपुट।
used to produce the output, but differ from input as they are transformed or used to use of during the process.
हाँ
Resources
मतलब
will
नॉट
include
ट्रांसफॉर्म,
equipment and peoples.
नॉट
अब
ट्रांसफॉर्म।
समझ में आया, अब समझ में आया मैं क्या पूछ रही थी सत्या।
हाँ तो
Okay.
रिसोर्स हमारे मशीन्स हो सकते हैं ना।
हाँ तो लिखा
हाँ
हुआ
तो
ना
वही
यहाँ
तो
पे,
बोल रही हूँ।
it already contains equipments.
हाँ एक्चुअली वो सत्या डाउट नहीं समझ पा रहा है मेरा, कि मैंने क्यों बोला मिल्क रिसोर्स में नहीं आएगा, इनपुट में आएगा। अब समझ में आया।
हाँ मिल्क तो इनपुट में ही आएगा।
हाँ तो मैं वही तो बोल रही थी, उसमें इनपुट में था ना मिल्क, इसलिए मैंने बोला कि रिसोर्स और इनपुट
हाँ
अलग है, तो
मिल्क,
रिसोर्स में कैसे आएगा। हाँ पर हो गया, डाउट क्लियर हो गया।
अबे मिल्क तो यहाँ पे भी इनपुट में है।
तो मिल्क इनपुट में
कॉफी,
नहीं आएगा, तो सर ने बोला मिल्क इनपुट में नहीं आएगा, चेंज होगा वो वाला, समझा।
अरे रिसोर्सेज में रॉ मटेरियल भी आएगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, सही है। ओके
पर
अबे मिल्क क्यों नहीं आएगा इनपुट में?
यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? रिसोर्सेज आर यूज टू प्रोड्यूस द आउटपुट बट डिफर फ्रॉम इनपुट. इनपुट से अलग है रिसोर्सेज एज दे आर नॉट ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड और यूज्ड अप ड्यूरिंग द प्रोसेस.
The resources are used to produce the output but differ from input as they are not transferred or used up during the process.
हाँ, मतलब
हाँ, तो
resources
input में
input से अलग है.
Okay.
अरे वो तो मेरे को भी दिख रहा है कि इनपुट और रिसोर्सेस अलग है.
हाँ, तो फिर क्या बोल रहा है तू? मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा तो क्या बोल रहा है.
तू बोल रही कि जो इनपुट है मतलब मिल्क इनपुट नहीं है बोल रही है.
हाँ, क्योंकि
Again,
यहाँ
resources
पे
के अंडर में आएगा.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली. क्या रिसोर्स?
Okay.
नहीं नहीं नहीं.
मिल्क इनपुट है यार, मिल्क इज इनपुट.
Hello.
हाँ हाँ
मिल्क शुगर ये सब इनपुट में है.
हाँ हाँ सॉरी मैं
वो
थोड़ा
हो क्या रहा है यहाँ पे? हाँ, उल्टा बोल रहे हो.
Hello.
अच्छा, मैं थोड़ा उल्टा. हाँ हाँ
देखो,
ठीक है,
सुनो
ठीक है.
सुनो सुनो. रिसोर्सेज क्या है ना, रिसोर्सेज सारे मशीनरी जिसके थ्रू से वो बनेगा, वो मीडियम वो है रिसोर्सेज. और जो इनिशियल जो रॉ मटेरियल है वो तुम्हारा इनपुट है.
अच्छा हाँ.
But it is,
नहीं,
हाँ
hello.
हाँ हेलो सर.
सर, आपका स्लाइड सही है सर.
नहीं
Okay.
सही है. मैं थोड़ा कंफ्यूज हो
Okay.
गई.
Hello. Hello.
सर, आप भी बोलने लग गए माय मिस्टेक माय मिस्टेक माय मिस्टेक. सर, आपको भी थोड़ा ध्यान देना चाहिए ना सर.
Okay. Okay.
कंफ्यूज हो गई थी. सॉरी फॉर माय मिस्टेक.
Okay. Hello. All of you listen. Hello.
Yes, sir.
There is small assignment for all of you. So you have to submit a assignment, that is draw a sugar manufacturing process and draw a cement manufacturing process. Okay. You have to draw the only block diagram. Hello.
Okay,
हाँ
sir.
हाँ, सुन रहे सर.
Okay. And I have already provided the process. This is the cement and this is for your sugar. This one for sugar. Okay. So just go to the first one, that is the sugar canes are directly dumping in case of conveyor, and the chopper machine chopping the sugar canes, and it is directly go to the crossing roller where it is should be crossed in the different type of grain size, then grain size to the steam boilers, and steam boilers to the in case of crossing roller, we directly collected the cane juice, and the rest of the bagasse should be dumped. And, in case of cane juice, it directly go to the cane juice filters. Then cane juice filter to the cane juice holding tanks, where it directly go inside the boiler, and for boiler to the sediment tank, where the crystallization and process should be done in case of making the raw sugars. So these are the process. If you directly go to the slide, you will understand how the sugar should be made from the sugar cane to a fine grain of sugars. So you have to submit. You have to draw only the block diagram. Clear? Hello.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will access around 5 number of assignment. You have to submit one by one. So that's all for today.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir,
Yes, yes.
sir, how will I mean कैसे submit करेंगे?
Online. Through my mail. Okay.
ऐसे मतलब सर मतलब कॉपी में करके उसका फोटो खींच के आपके मेल को मतलब भेजेंगे.
फोटो खींच के नहीं, ब्लॉक डायग्राम बनाना है.
Oh.
Okay. I will provide the official email ID. Just go through the chat box.
सर पेपर में नहीं बनाना.
नहीं, पेपर में हार्ड कॉपी नहीं है, सब कुछ ऑनलाइन है.
अच्छा.
You have to submit online. Okay. So thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. You too have a nice day.